Hi, everybody. Nice to see you again. Today we have WorkHorse SCS, another software provider for the alarm industry. You all can see Stephen Hayes. He's the president and owner of the company and has a lot to tell you all about its services. We're happy to that all of you have signed on. We have a lot of information. He has a lot of information for you, and you'll be getting it in just a second. Answer this, come up with him in a second. Sorry. So Stephen's been around in the alarm industry for a while. I think he's got a comprehensive program for you and software. It's become clear to me and should be clear to you. Software is right up there with how important, the most important decisions you need to make in operating your business. It's right up there with which central station you're going to decide to go to. It's almost as important as which contracts you decide to use. Okay, so keep that in mind. Stephen, I'm going to turn over control to you.
All right.
And let's see if I can. Here you are. You now have control. And good luck, everybody. See you in a little while. Oh, hold your questions until the put your questions in. I will read them to Stephen at the end of his presentation. Stephen, you're on.
All right, perfect. Thanks, Ken. Thanks everybody for joining. It looks like we got a really good showing here today, so I appreciate you taking time out of your day. And you know, Ken, again, I expressed it earlier, but I appreciate you know, you putting this together for all of us and the central stations who are you know, who are presenting. So real quick, I'm going to run through things kind of quick here, and actually I'm going to share a different screen first. Hold on. There's a lot of question about how easy it is for us to get data from different places. WorkHorse has spent a lot of time and money making this a reality. So I'm going to show you that this is a small part of what we do, but basically we build integrations with alarm.com, central stations, SecureCom, and everybody else. But we're going to go ahead and I'm going to import these accounts into WorkHorse. Now keep in mind, this isn't going to give us all of our RMR or, you know, other stuff, but what it's going to do is now I'm going to import 80 alarm.com accounts. And I'm going to do the same thing for the central station. This just happens to be Avant-Garde, but we'll talk about central stations in a minute. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to import from there as well. Here we go. Looks like they're taking a second, but you know, we'll get to it. So we integrate, I've got a slide in a minute. We integrate with 48 central stations now. A lot of them are dealer-owned central stations, but there's 48 centrals that we integrate with. So we look at this, I'm just going to import all of the accounts. It shows there's 160 of them. You know, we could select only in service, out of service, whatever you want to do. I'm going to import them all just to kind of go through what we're doing. So this is all going to be running in the background while I start to give this presentation. So again, I've been in consumer electronics and web development since 2001. You know, as part of the tech wave, we built a consumer electronics store, and that's when I really started learning about APIs and integrations. In 2008, when I got out of the Marine Corps, I went back to working for that company, but quickly learned how lucrative the alarm industry was. So I joined it, right? So I owned a company called EGA Security in New Jersey, small, mostly residential alarm company. But I had that same struggle that lots of people have. And that struggle is that you have a software for accounting, a software for RMR, a software for dispatch. You might have 1, 2, or 3 central stations. You might have you might have AlarmNet. You might have Residio. You'll probably have SecureCom. You know, names like that out there. And there is no one easy platform for you to be able to log in and see what was going on. So I sold my company, moved down to Florida, hired some developers, and now here's WorkHorse, and here's a taste of it. So my tagline is, we're your single point of data entry. What I mean by that is, when you put your data into WorkHorse first, when I put the customer into WorkHorse, that's the last time I need to put them anywhere. I don't need to re-enter into Central. I don't need to re-enter them into a contract. I don't need to re-enter them into SecureCom or, you know, whatever processes or softwares you're using. We are that single point. So your salesperson takes good, accurate information. It gets sent everywhere that it needs to go afterwards. Some of the stuff that we do, you know, We're a CRM, ERP. People in our industry kind of use that kind of, we kind of go back and forth with how we use it. So we do your our billing, we do your e-documents, sales management, lead management. You can dispatch technicians, you can send text messages, you can track your inventory. Again, central station integrations, communication partners like SecureCom and the rest. And we have accounting integration. So today we're integrated with QuickBooks Online. So that's just this one-to-one integration. I'll talk about that in a minute. Like I said, we're integrated with over 40 central stations now. I think the number is 48, though some get bought by others. So that number kind of goes up and down every once in a while. But really all of the major players. We also have a commitment. So if you don't see your central station here, or you call us and they're on one of the platforms that we can integrate with, we are happy to do it. It's no cost to any wholesale monitoring center. We will do it for them. We also have full integration into Ajax, Alarm.com, Alula, Residio, SecureCom, and SecureNet. These are integrations for create, update. We pull in the zone information. So let's just say you go out and sell a big fire panel. It's got 200 zones, 300 zones in it. We can pull that information out of your software and we'll send it over to your central station. So what could have been 1, 2, or 3 or 4 hours of data entry now turns into none of that, because we're going to grab that data from all of these partners, bring it into WorkHorse, we clean it so it fits the way the central station wants it, and then we send it over to them. The automation platforms that we work with today, you see pretty much all of them on here. So if your central station has it or doesn't have the WorkHorse integration and you want it, as long as they're in here, we can do it, right? That's just, we have good agreements with everybody. Our APIs are with the central station. They normally take 1 to 2 weeks for us to complete, and then 1 to 2 weeks in testing. So, if you're looking at coming on board, your central's not there, we'll gladly add it for you. For accounting, like I said before, for right now we have a full integration with QuickBooks. So every customer, every invoice, every product, every GL account, every payment, all that stuff gets pushed from WorkHorse to QuickBooks. We can do an initial sync where we can grab your QuickBooks customer base and we can bring it in, but really everything after that has to do with we're pushing over to them. OPT's Oxygen, which is a middleware, we're building an integration in with them. That should be done by the end of the year. And then next year we'll have everybody down below. So I mean, for the most part, if you have an accounting platform, we'll likely have an integration for it. So just another thing that we can talk about. Again, we're glad to write integrations when it makes sense for us. We also take on a lot of one-off work too. So if there's little things here or there that you want to see us do, we're pretty happy to do it. We heard a lot of talk about a concierge service. So we partnered with a company called the Alarm Assistant. They actually use our back end as well. And they're kind of like a back office for a small company. So if you're a 3 to 5 man company who you don't have somebody in the office and you're answering phones in the field, and you're in the basement or in the attic trying to answer a phone, put it on test or do stuff like that, you can forward your calls over to the Alarm Assistant for the day, and they take care of it. And the same time, they also use WorkHorse too. So when they take a payment, when they create a service call, when they do that kind of stuff for you, everything's happening in real time in WorkHorse. They can put systems on and off test, in and out of service, whatever you want to do. And the live demo. So I think a lot of people don't like to do it. I like to do a live demo. I trust our product. Everything we're doing is on a staging server, like a test server. So I can't mess up anybody's accounts. But let's go ahead and take a look. So this is the same account that we saw before, right? So the point of me showing this is we can come in here, we can see our customers, our information, and we can start dialing into it. I'll show it to you more in a minute, but here you go, central station information, alarm.com information if they had it, zones and other stuff like that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna switch my screen to another, but again, the point of that was really just, for us, data is really important and we wanna make sure we're getting it from the most trusted places. So we're gonna pull it right from the central. We're gonna pull it right from SecureCom, right from Alarm.com, right from those guys, because those are really the places you're going to get the best data from. Now, there's not like a whole lot of time for what I want to show. Let me see. I have to, 1 second. I have to share in that same screen. So excuse me 1 second as I move stuff around in the background. All right. So we have a saying here, and that saying is knowledge is payments, right? So knowledge is payments. What does that mean? That means when you log in as an alarm company or a dispatcher or somebody, we've built a dashboard just for you, right? So this is going to show you, and I'm going to talk fast. That's what I do. What this is going to show you is, hey, I'm currently hooked up to 6 different central stations. So let me see just what's at this single central station. I can see I have 71 accounts there. I've done no new accounts this month. I'm a terrible salesperson. We've had 1 alarm in the last 24 hours, 8 this week, 22 this month. You can even see what's gone on inside of here too. So like we help you drive into it and really make these decisions based on what you need to do. So your dispatcher might say, hey, let's take a look at this customer. And we jump right to this customer. Now this is going to show you a couple good things, a couple good metrics. This is going to show you that the customer is not past due any money, or they owe you money, right? So maybe part of your call is they owe you some money. You can see that they're worth $4,800 to you. You can see that they're online at the central station, and you can really start diving into what's going on there, right? So if I'm going to start trying to manipulate this account, maybe the first thing that I want to do is I want to put it on test. Again, it doesn't matter how many central stations you have, whatever you're listed with, this central station is always going to be the same for you, right? So I put in the passcode. That could be mine or the customers, because maybe they're on the phone. I say I'm going to test the test. That's real-time feedback, right? That's live. You didn't need to log into another portal, into Stages or Sims or Mastermind or somewhere else. That happens live right here. You can update the passcodes, emergency contacts, the zone list if it's not already synced with the central. For example, this is with alarm.com, so it's already synced with the central. But cool information you have here is if you have a rule that you don't pay your technician until they test in every zone, well, right here, all these red X's means that this hasn't been tested in. If it was tested in, you'd get a green check mark. Again, this is dummy accounts at the centrals and alarm, but it's just real information and actionable information for you to say, hey, listen, you said you were done with the job, but zone 2 didn't test in. You need to go back and test it. Zone 4 didn't come in, so you need to test it. On top of that, we'll take it a step further, and we can see even the alarm.com. So maybe this customer is having a real issue, right? Close malfunction. You have 4 door contacts or window contacts that are in some sort of malfunction. Well, that's not good, right? Like, we got to take care of this. We want to get ahead of it. We got to call the customer. Hey, Rob Lowe, it's Steve over at the alarm company. This is the error message that we got. I'm looking, it says we got 4 zones in malfunction. What do you want to do? Oh, it's my vacation house. I won't be there until next week. Well, do you want me to dispatch somebody? We want to be able to, again, create these actionable events based on what we know. So we have all the zones, the information. You have a gate code because maybe your technicians might need a gate code or something like that. Again, emergency contacts. If you want to drag and drop, you can drag and drop emergency contacts. And these will upload at the central station for you automatically. So anytime you get that green check mark, that means, hey, this is good to go. A red X it would give you if for some reason it couldn't go through. Other stuff you can see, this isn't good, but if you had a panel, where's the panel, transformer location, and this is all going to save, this is all great information for you to have, because as you're building this customer out and as you're servicing them for the next 3 to 5 to 7 years, however long it happens to be, we want to make sure that we know all of the latest and greatest information that we have. Again, we could see all of the accounting. I'll show you that in a couple minutes. But it's really about having this knowledge for this customer and knowing, what we're going to do. So we are going to run a service call for this customer. So I'm going to say new service call. Let's see who's around. So we look up the customer. I could have just clicked over from the screen before. which site are we going to go to? So maybe he's got 2 houses. He's got a main house and a barn. Maybe it's a commercial company and they have, 14 different job sites or 50 different job sites. And even cooler, we're going to break it down by the system too. So not only do we know who we're going to service, where we're going to service, but what system. And we need this information because, again, knowledge is payments means that when you go out and service it, if the customer's like, hey, listen, you charged me $500 last month, what's going on? Why do I keep on getting charged? Well, the easy thing to say is like, well, we were there last month for your camera system. We were there last month for your this system. But now you're asking us to come there and fix the alarm. So it would be, charged a fee. If you want to warranty it, maybe you have some sort of service plan, you can do that too. What that's going to do for you is that's still going to show that dollar amount, that minimum $310. That's still going to show that, but it's going to show it discounted. So, every service call should be recorded and invoiced, even if it's a $0 invoice, because your technician still costs you something. There's still a cost against that service call, and you need to know it, right? You need to know, I spent $80 doing this, and I should have collected $300, but now I'm negative $80. Like that's, just good knowledge, good information for you to have. Why are we going out? 4 doors in malfunction. Tried to reset on ADC, but could not. We're going to go out there and we're going to bring some door contacts. So, we'll load your inventory into WorkHorse, right? So anything I do, these are dummy products. You'll actually have your stuff in here. Let's take a look at the schedule and see if we have anybody available. Hey, you know what? I got Alexis available later today. And what we're going to do is we're going to notify the customer and notify the technician. And they're going to get a message, something to the effect of, your technician, Alexis White, is scheduled to be at your house or at 123 Main Street on 10/11/2023 between 4 and 6:30 today, right? We also send a picture of them too. So we call it a baseball card, so you can see who's supposed to be coming to your house. Just a cool function, especially for residential. People like to know who's going to show up, right? It's something that a lot of plumbers and a lot of electricians have done over the years. And, we added that about 6 months ago. So we're a little out of step, a little out of turn. We are a mobile responsive site. What I mean by that is based on the device that you're using, like right now I'm on a computer, so it's showing you the computer view. But if you're on a iPhone or iPad or Android or tablet, whatever it is, it'll show you a view that's set for that. Now, the thing about that is that we are better on a tablet. We just have a lot of information. We're better on a tablet than we are a phone. This would be put at the top, but you're going to check that you're en route, and your customer's going to get a message. The message is going to be, your technician, Alexis White from EGA, is on the way. We're going to get there, right? And when we get there, we're going to start this time and material, right? We have a big issue in our industry where technicians don't like collecting money. They don't like asking for it. They don't like filling out paperwork. They don't like doing a lot of the stuff that we need them to do. So we try to, make it all happen so they don't have to. We also have a paper version of the work order if you wanted to email it to your technician. This gets filled out along the way. This, starting in 2 weeks, this will also be included with the invoice as well, if you wanted it to be. Like you saw before, we could put it on test just by clicking over into that system and putting it on test. And I said something and I forgot to mention it. Hey, we're having issues with these 4 zones, right? So we can do some things here. Maybe the customer's like, hey, it's beeping and I want it to stop. So I click on silence trouble beeps. This reaches out to ADC, silences the trouble beeps for him. We can do a communication test. This is going to ping the central station. And we can even see that it's pinged the central station down here. I'll refresh the history and we'll see that I put in that signal test. There you go. So again, real-time information. Your dispatcher, your office manager, whoever it happens to be, can ping the panel and make sure it's up. They can do a hard reset, reboot the panel, because look, sometimes, we all know you just need to turn it off and turn it back on. So we built some of those cool little things into WorkHorse, to be like that first level before you need to dispatch a technician. All right, and back over to the service call. Again, those critical notes are right here, right? Because your guy has to go out there, your guy or gal has to go out there. They have to go through a gate, they have to go through a door. They want to know that, hey, there's dogs on the right side of the house, but there's no dogs on the left side of the house. Or use the entrance off of this road instead of off of this road. We try to put as much information to try to get your people in and out as fast as possible. Let's just pretend that we're all done with it. Customer swapped doors and got new windows replaced and tested. Now, obviously, you wouldn't do all of this in 4 minutes. You could also add photos here, right? Because again, if we're going to charge a customer an extra $200, we want to make sure that we have that backup to it, right? Hey, here's the photos of what we did. Because if the customer tries to dispute this, we want to make sure that we're out in front of it. Hey, listen, you swapped the doors, you swapped the windows, you had the house painted, and they knocked off the smoke detectors or the motion sensors, or a forklift drove over a floor-mounted door contact, or whatever it happens to be. We want to make sure that you have all of that stuff. Let's go ahead. We're done with the job for the day. Good, we're all set. And we have a tech form built in here, right? This is just you asking your technicians what they did. Did you install everything you were supposed to? Did you run a test? Did you demonstrate it? Did you clean up after yourself? Did you take pictures, right? We want pictures, as many as you can. Did you use anything extra? But some of the most important ones are, does the customer need a follow-up, and is the customer satisfied? Those are really important for a couple of reasons. One, hey, look, if this customer is upset with you, you want to get out in front of it as fast as possible. Hey, Mr. Lowe, I know my technician, accidentally put his foot through the ceiling. We'll take care of that for you. Like, no longer are they're mad about the situation, or they're upset about the situation, but they're not mad at you, right? Because you got out in front of it. The issue that we normally have is that, technicians try to get out of there as fast as possible with something broken. You don't find out about it for a week because they broke a mirror in the corner of a garage, and it's what some technicians do. Now, I was there for only a few minutes, but we automatically round for you. You can choose to round up to 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 60 minutes, whatever you want to round to. For this, dummy data, again, we were there for an hour and 18 minutes, right? So maybe we round up by 15. Totally up to you, however you want to do it. But again, you can see we had 4 door contacts. We traveled, we had our labor. And the last thing I do, especially if this is residential, hey, Mr. Lowe, how would you like to pay? Would you like to use your credit card on file? Would you like to add a new credit card? Would you like to add a new ACH? Your technicians can do this in the field. They go ahead, they take a scribble. We're going to create the invoice, and we're going to take a payment for this automatically, right? Get paid for this right away, rather than you have to reach out to the customer and do something else. So you can see right here, this invoice is closed and paid. Great, perfect. We're on track. This is what it was for. This is what we did. Now, if it's commercial or something like that, maybe your dispatcher or office manager, they're reviewing yesterday's service calls, finalizing them and sending them out. Maybe that's something you guys do. But there's a dozen different ways to do just about everything in WorkHorse. When we built it originally, it was, hey, this is how Steve ran his alarm company. And then I really quickly learned that just because Steve did it one way didn't mean that hundreds of other people did it a wildly different way. So we made a lot of changes really quickly on, all right, how do we adapt to a new company coming on board, and they're in Bozeman, Montana, and they run their company different than me in New Jersey, in California, and all these different places, right? We all do something very similar. We just do things, quite different with how we make sales and what we do. We have lead management as well, right? So you can see your leads, where you're at with them, who you're going to assign them to, how many emails you've sent, how many emails you've sent them, how many text messages you've sent, things like that. So really, again, it's how much stuff can we put in front of you in a short period of time. If you're a fire alarm company, maybe you have recurring. If you're a fire alarm company, maybe you have recurring service calls or recurring tasks. You can put those in. We'll load them up. We'll put them right on your calendar as soon as you're ready to go. You could do it, weekly, monthly, semi-annually, annually, quarterly. All different ways you can set those up. We've recently built in a full chat. So this is a way for you to be able to just text message your customers and go back and forth with it. I'm going to show you, estimates in a couple minutes, but this was an estimate. You can write whatever you want to the customer, but the customer is able to click on it, open it, ask questions back and forth. But we're going to go through that in a minute or so. On the last thing I want to hit on the knowledge is payments real quick is, here we go. Here's an invoice that's open for this customer for $45. And the question is, why do we have it, right? And we take a look. This is for his RMR billing, right? It's from October 23rd through November 2nd. This happens to be for a warranty for monitoring, and 8 ADC cameras. Again, dummy data. This is just how they set it up. But when we wonder why they haven't paid, well, we never sent it to them, right? So, hey, you never sent it to me. Of course I would pay that bill. I owe you the money, or you never sent it to me, but you really did. So you can email it, you can text it, whatever you want to do. And we're going to give you real-time feedback on that too. So, I got to refresh to get to it, but you'll be able to see it. It's created. It's somewhere in our world, in our back end. It's probably going to be delivered now. So it's delivered. It got to the customer. Let's see here. It is opened. And we have a couple different forms of our customer portal. One is just a click to pay. Our click to pay is pretty cool because, all the customer needs to do is click on a link and they get taken right to a payment page. Now, we also have a customer portal that they can sign into. When they sign into it, they can put their own systems on or off test. They can change their own emergency contacts at a lot of our centrals, not all of them, but a lot of them. They can update their own passcodes. They can see all of their billing history. They can update their credit card on file, and they can request service calls. And when they request a service call, that drives right into your service module. You get notified, hey, Bob Jones has requested a service, and then you can do with it what you will. You might just throw it away because it's not really, you don't need to run a service, but you at least have notifications that they did it. And 1 second, I gotta do some magic switching in the background here real quick again. And I'm going to take you through start to finish, right? I'm going to take you through start to finish. I'm going to sell you an alarm system. So deal, new deal, and then what am I going to sell you? Berg, fire access, CCTV, networking. Again, we track all of these different. We also ask different questions through them. Like, so Berg and fire, we're talking about zones, emergency contacts, and things like that. Camera systems, we want to know what camera is it, where is it installed, and specific to it too. What's the MAC, serial number, IP address? For serviceability, that's just going to help you down the road. Same thing with access control, and add photos to all these too, right? So, hey, this is the front door, and it's a 1,200-pound double mag instead of a 600-pound single mag, or a cheap door strike, right? Show up with a black camera when you need a black camera, a turret when you need a turret, a dome when you need a dome, an analog when you need analog because it's an older system. Don't just assume that whatever the newest thing is going to work, especially when you're talking about warranty. You can call up the manufacturer if it's within that 2 or 3 years or 5 years, depending on the manufacturer. The MAC address and the serial number to it. Maybe you can get that advanced warranty on it. For this, I'm going to sell a fire alarm. And we're just going to start with, the basic information. I'm going to sell to Ken Kirschenbaum. I'm not going to ask for his phone number or his cell phone. And we're going to use Google to get a lot of information, right? So again, I'm just going to put in any address. So we use Google to make sure that we find it. Maybe that's his office, maybe that's his house, and he's got 2 or 3 homes, right? You can add that, or I can just say, hey, copy that one down, right? I'm going to install it at that same spot. How are we reducing double data entry? I don't need to double type. I'm selling it to you here. We're installing it here. Also with this, we're going to get your sales tax information if you have sales tax, at your location. The next pages are about what are we actually selling and how are we going to fill out that contract, right? So it's $45 a month. It's a 36-month contract. You would select your central, right? Whatever central you sell to, you know, that would be shown there for you, or just defaulted to. You know, we're going to send to alarm.com. Now, this is if you want to. You don't have to do any of this, but you can say, I'm going to do interactive gold and I'm going to sell these services, right? Your technician can do it. Your ops manager can do it. It all depends on your organization. A small organization, maybe the sales guy is doing all of this because he might be installing too. But, you know, how are we going to save you time? Well, it's because you don't need to log into these third-party places for it. Now, again, we'll add your products here. So, you know, just because you see me with this alarm panel here, it's whatever you sell, right? It's whatever you sell, not what we're telling you to sell. It's whatever you sell. So we got door contact, let's call it 50 of them, $50, and we're gonna sell you 10 of them. And let's just say we need to add something on the fly, right? I need to add in a motion detector. Here we go. It's super easy to be able to add them. You know, I can say it's, you know, it's DMP, it's a motion detector. I buy it for 75. I'm gonna attach it to some COGS account. Like your accounts would all be loaded in here. I just created this account earlier today. We buy it from DMP, you know, or, you know, you might buy, you know, it might be motions that you buy from SSNSI, and this you buy from DMP, and this you buy from there, this you buy from wherever it happens to be. You can have it in there. And when you create a purchase order, it'll split up the purchase order because, hey, I buy these from this guy and I buy these from this guy. And that's just how we work. Or you can put them all together, totally up to you. Inventory, non-inventory, are we going to charge sales tax for it? But that product's now created, it's in your system, and it's profitable. Oh. Vendor, not, I don't know what that was. Let's skip over it. Alarm communication vendor, non-object. Let's see. Let's change it to that. Don't know what that is, so we're gonna figure that out afterwards. That's a new one. So the thrills of doing it live. So let's restart that real quick. It's going to be Ken. We're going to use that existing address because that's where we started. $45 a month, 36-month contract. Same thing you saw Avant-Garde. There's something up with this this login is what I would assume. If you want to schedule it now, you could, but you don't need to. If you want to put in any notes, any photos, you can. We're adding in scope of work here very soon too. That'll be released by the end of the month. And here's just an overview. So again, you know, for time's sake, I'm just going to kind of go through it quickly. I'm going to save this as an estimate. You would also have an option to save and send. I didn't because I just wanted to jump down into it. And let's go ahead and let's take a look at it. So when you send this off to your customer, you're going to get notified the whole way through. And what do I mean by that? When your customer opens this, you're going to get a notice. It says, hey, Steve, your customer Ken just opened it. You know, when you answer your questions back and forth, like, hey, you know, there is nothing on here. You'll get notified that says, hey, your customer Ken asked you a question. Go in and answer it, right? So it's really about how you communicate back and forth. And now the customer can accept the invoice as well, or, you know, whatever they want to do. When it comes down to the customer accepted it, we're good to go. We're ready to move forward. We've got that Kirschenbaum agreement we got to send out, right? So the residential all-in-one agreement, I think requires the name, address, email address, 6 or 7 different times when you look at all the different papers and pages together. Well, we'll put those all together. So you would say send it. It's going to send to the salesperson first. We use a service called Sign Now. It'll send to the salesperson first to review and sign it. After it goes to the salesperson, then it goes to the customer to review and sign it, and then it'll come back into WorkHorse. But again, as we're looking at like lead management and seeing what your sales guys are doing, like right now this is a lead, but you know, we'll turn this into agreement sent. And once it gets signed, you know, we turn it into sold for you automatically. We email everybody, hey, this has been sold. Go ahead and schedule it for installation. We'll also fill out the contract start date and date of installation for you as well automatically. So just less touch points that you need to do from, you know, these different vendors. The central station, you know, we're going to dispatch a technician. I showed you how to do that before. Let me click here. So we're going to say R1 4575, and it's going to be two-way. And although I think that there's something wrong with this username and password for alarm.com, I'm going to give it a go. So I put in the IMEI number up here. I just copied and pasted. I've got a panel right here that I'm going to use. We're very close with all the manufacturers. So you know we're very lucky that when we need one, we can make some calls and we can get it. So let's see, verify. So this serial number is valid, right? It's not being used anywhere. You don't have it. You don't have it for another job or in a bin for another job, or you're trying to reuse a product that maybe you put in one house, took out to upgrade or something like that. So it's all here for you. That's really all of the information you need. You can put in other stuff. So I want to always forward signals. Where did I get it from? You know, other stuff here. Like I don't need the account ID. I just need to know where I'm going to send it. And I'm going to give it interactive, and I'm going to save. And again, if all goes well, I should be able to hit this button. Oh, customer account phone, invalid phone. So we got an issue with the phone number. Oh, I'm willing to bet that neither of them like a 555 number, which is probably true. All right, refresh, and then let's go to activate again. This is a verbal passcode. So, you know, it's good information, stuff you should have, right? A verbal passcode. So you can see that the account was built with alarm.com right down here. We have all the information. I can send off a welcome letter to the customer, but it wasn't yet built with Avant-Garde. So, you know, another thing that I just have to add here, let's see. I am the ant. Cell phone access level, all access. ECV, we'll make them an ECV. So we'll call before dispatch. Now we just have to activate the central station. Perfect, okay. So had I put that information in the first time through, it would have all went through the first time. That was my fault, and it's definitely a training issue on my side. You can see that when we created this, we created it as a canceled account. The reason that we do that is we don't want your technicians accidentally dispatching the police, fire, EMS as they test it in. So you'll go through the account, you'll do what you need to do, you'll test in the system in its fullest. We'll automatically grab the information from this panel. We'll bring it into WorkHorse. If you have, this one is alarm.com. So if you have alarm.com turned on at the central, it'll automatically pass through. But if not, if you have Ajax, Alula, Residio, SecureNet, SecureCom, and Alarm, we'll grab that data, we bring it into WorkHorse, and we push it to the central for you, so you don't need to do that. Again, it's just about, you know, time saving what we're going to do. So I'm going to place that account in service. Again, I could use my password or their password here. Again, when you get this message, this means it is live. This is what you actually received from the central station. So I know that this is live and active at the central. This is live and active here. If I emailed you this, Ken, you would get a nice little welcome letter. You know, other things that I can do, I can send out a certificate of installation, right? So again, it comes down to data entry and what we can save you time on. You would select what you sold, Berg, Fire, EMS, Panic, Hold Up, this, that, the other thing. I didn't have the panel type or device, and we didn't get it back from alarm.com yet. But once we do, you would be able to send that out. Another cool thing is this account probably just doesn't have access to billing, but if the alarm.com username and password I had access to the billing, you'd be able to see other cool information here, right? So it's a 36-month term, it's $45 RMR. The central's charging 5, the communication's charging 7. You know what your estimated net is, right? So now if you have, you know, a card fee, that might be on top of it or something like that. So it's just about bringing in more information to you. We don't have an actual payroll module, but you can add people to get paid. So like, you know, I'm going to pay the technician $250 and we're going to pay him on this day. it's just gonna, add up and show you how much money you're expected to make on this system as a whole. And now again, all depending on how you guys work, right? So like you might have your technicians go out today, and then when they're done, you have to come in and you have to fill out the subscription because you got to make your sale. We have a pretty robust subscription module. You can do it. This is for Ken. This is for his site 123 Main Street, and this is for his fire alarm. You can add them all together. You can do them separate, whatever you want to do. Some people do everyday billing. So if I install this on the 11th, I'll bill this out every month, every quarter, semi-annually, annually on the 11th. Or you can always just say, all right, well, hey, you know what? We're gonna prorate it. You just select the next day. You would have your own monitoring SKUs in here. So again, this is just dummy data. I set this company up like 5 minutes before we jumped on this call, just so I could show you how we can grab all that data from Alarm, from your centrals. And again, anything that we do with the central, it always has the same look and feel inside of WorkHorse. So if you have 2 or 3 centrals, you don't need to move them from one to the other or anything like that. You can have them everywhere, and that same dashboard is going to show you all of the information you want. We're going to bill it monthly, quarterly, semi-annually, annually. Again, totally up to you. We can send it out in advance. So we're going to send this out 15 days in advance, but we're going to do it, let's just say monthly. Right now it's set to email. So emailing, there's no cost to it. Mailing, that means we're going to send it to you in a report, a PDF report. You just print them, print stuff, stamp, and send them. We can mail them for you too. So if you don't want to have the person in the office, folding letters and mailing them out, let us do it. Totally up to you. If you're set for auto draft, we'll automatically charge it. If you already have a card on file, we would have it in here. Or ACH, again, totally up to you. I don't have a merchant service account set up with this company. But you would be able to add your merchant services and everything here. You can see that this bill today is for 20 days, but the next bill on November 1st is for 48. We have no terms and conditions, no other descriptions or anything like that. And we automatically create it, right? So what this did is set you up. I have 1 subscription, active RMR, what your annual is and how much your next billing is. You can change it if you need to cancel it. We worked with Jim Worcester to get a list of, reasons why people cancel. And, if you're looking for funding or something like that, when you get your reports from us, people like Jim can, they'll be able to see, all right, well, your attrition is high because of people moving and you're in a very transient area, or your attrition is high because they're unhappy with their service and maybe he doesn't want to give you money based on that. I won't speak for him though, let him lend money how he wants to lend. But you can see your first invoice here. So CS number, account number, when it's for, how much you're charging on this first one. Ken, you have 8.875 sales tax in your area, so we added that up automatically for you. We report on it. We use a third-party API. There's no cost to you to use it. So we get your sales taxes, and as they change month by month or year by year, whenever your sales tax changes, we observed it coming into this year that our sales tax API works. We also put a nice little thank you letter down here. You can choose to have it, not have it, totally up to you, whatever you want to do. Real quick, just to tap onto it, inventory management. We are in beta with it right now. So you can track truck by truck, product by truck product. You can transfer from one truck to another. You can do cycle counts. You can do POs, accept POs. You can create a PO. Your technician can pick it up and it automatically puts in his truck. And after they finish their job that they're on, that product will automatically fall out of their truck. Early next year, you'll see cycle counts, min-max levels. Those will come out too. We're just in our beta right now. We should be out of beta by January 1. Anybody who is on WorkHorse can sign up for it, the beta. But if you're going to sign up now, I would say it's better to wait a little bit, get accustomed to it, and then do it. Our dispatch screen, this is one that we're working on right now. And so this is one we're actively working on it today. And this will show you all of your scheduled service calls, wherever they happen to be. And what we're adding in is when your technician checks that they're en route on site or wherever they're doing, their little avatar will show up here as well, so you'll know the last place that they checked in from. We're not doing human traffic. We're not doing human trafficking, obviously, but we're not doing human tracking. So we don't know as they walk, as they drive, if they have, hard stops or anything like that. But we do know, hey, the last place that they checked in from was this place. And that's about it. I mean, there's so much more, but it would be impossible for me to get to it on this short webinar. So we've got about 10 minutes left. I'm happy to field questions if we have them, Ken, or go over what we got.
Thanks. We do have a lot of questions. I'm glad you left some room for us. So here we go, and you should be brief because we do have a lot of questions for you. Okay. Can you work with QuickBooks Desktop 2023?
Unfortunately, no. We don't have any connectors that are coming out to the desktop QuickBooks.
Is AlarmNet 360 in the works for integration?
AlarmNet 360 is already done and integrated. I got a couple of Honeywell panels right here, or Resideo panels right here. So you can do account creation, cancellation, and we can grab just the zone information from it today.
Yeah. While we're at it, you want to put your contact information up instead of that last
screen.
Oh, yeah. Hopefully it's got your name on it somewhere and email address so they can reach you.
Email, phone number. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, there you go. Can you integrate with Sedona Office?
So we cannot integrate with Sedona Office, but we are coming out with an integration with OPT's Oxygen. So I'll leave it at that, but we do not have a direct integration with Sedona Office. We do have an integration coming with OPT's Oxygen.
Can we create custom drop downs on screens like panel details?
No, but we're happy to add in, kind of like custom fields. We're always happy to add them in because they're just going to make it better for everybody. So, we're really adaptive and reactive to what our dealers' wants and needs are. So yeah, we can add it.
Can you make custom tech completion forms?
No, so the tech completion form as it is today is a static form. We've looked at it. I don't know when we would do the custom version.
Does RPS and AlarmNet 360 work with the integrated function buttons like silencing beeps and reboots?
So Bosch RPS right now doesn't have any integrations. We've been talking to them for about a year. They have a new digital backend coming out hopefully next year that they've told me about, where we'll be able to do that integration. AlarmNet does not have the troubleshooting features yet. They are going to be working on them.
Can technicians get signatures from customers for service calls without invoicing in the field with the invoice sent later?
Yes.
Can you have customers without central station monitoring, doing sub work for other dealers? Okay.
Well, not only sub work for other dealers, but like our industry, we're integrators now. We're not really only alarm companies or security companies. We're integrators. We sell Berg, fire, access, CCTV, networking, home automation, just all the low voltage stuff. So yeah, absolutely, you can track all of that. All of that can be tracked. You can set up RMR against anything. There's no need for the central station part of it. It's really for whatever you're going to sell. We just have a unique, we're a different kind of trade than an electrician, right? An electrician is the technician goes out, makes a sale, and installs normally. Where, we're not really a service trade. I make a sale, I get you to sign a contract, we charge your RMR, and then, once a year we do service for you. But the hope is that we're not servicing the customers too often. But there's no need to tie central station monitoring, a central station, alarm.com, a Lula, whoever, to any of these accounts in order to bill them. And we also work for subcontracting too, with the hierarchy of you do work for Securitas, but you're going to do work for Bob Jones, the project manager, and these 15 locations. So we work like that too.
Do the calendar features and CRM integrate, with Google Workspace or Office 365?
The calendar works with Google Google Calendar. So, and it's individually, right? So like a user hooks up their Google Calendar to it, and when you put an event on their calendar, it gets pushed right to their Google Calendar. We do not have 365.
Does your system also have plans to implement an internal communication for employees?
We are looking at it. It is likely going to happen next year, where it'll be kind of like a very light version of Slack inside of WorkHorse, so you can chat with your people inside of inside of WorkHorse.
What payment processor do you partner with, and can you migrate credit card data, and can you migrate data from Alarm Biller?
So I don't want to get too into who we can migrate data from, but we can migrate data from just about anybody. And what we can do with other merchant service partners, and we do it a couple times a month or sometimes a couple times a week, is you have to request your data from them. They send it over to us, and we put in the tokens, and that's how it stays PCI compliant. So it's you requesting from somebody like Forte. Forte will send it to Fortis, our provider. They re-tokenize it, and then we upload it into WorkHorse for you. Our merchant service company is called Fortis or USIO. Both for the Canada, for the US is either one of those. Canada is a different company, and we're flat 2.79% no matter what card you use, plus 25 cents.
Do you integrate with NAPCO?
Nope, but only because they don't have an integration.
Can you do in-person e-signing on new agreements, contracts?
We don't do in-person e-sign, but honestly, we just learned best practices from the banks and from the providers that they want to be able to track the IP addresses, they want to be able to track the email addresses, and they want all that stuff on there. So although you can say, hey, check your, Ken, do me a favor, check your email while we're right here. We don't allow you to just turn over your tablet to them and have them sign.
So you don't have a module for them to have their contracts electronically signed, I guess. You don't have that.
Oh, we do. No, we absolutely do. Yeah. So we'll take your agreement, and we use a company today called Sign Now. What we do is, because we want to track everything, we don't allow you just to say, we don't allow you to sign here and then say, Ken, do me a favor, go ahead and sign. And the reason that we don't is we've done a lot of work with some of the larger alarm companies in the country, and they require us not to have that.
All right, so basically what you're saying is you have you can provide for electronic contracts, but you want the customer to be signing on their own device, not on the on the alarm company's device. Okay.
Exactly.
How are sales tax tables updated manually?
We use an API from a company, and they get looked at on every single invoice that we send out. So every invoice that we send out, we send to this tax API that says 123 Main Street, Anytown, New York, and the product that we're sending them. And the reason that we do it that way is we want to know that this product is taxable, and in your area it's taxable. So like an area like I'm in Florida, I'm in a town called Lakewood Ranch, and we're 6% to the state, 1% to the county, and in some parts of Lakewood Ranch we're 0.5%, and other parts we're not. And if you're in Orlando, the closer you are to Disney, you might have an extra sales tax. So we do it by address and not just by in New York.
Okay, Steve, I'm going to need direct.
Sorry, I'll go faster.
Answers. Okay. Can fields in the different areas be made mandatory, like tech checklist?
We made them not mandatory. We've talked about being able to turn it on, but we made it not mandatory because every time just means most of the time.
The answer is no right now. Is there an ability?
Right. No, right now. Yeah.
Is there an ability to add user-defined fields?
No, but again, like I said, we can add them as needed.
Is there access to the database to perform queries?
There is not.
How are the recurring billing and payments handled?
We have our own subscription module. You can do, again, it's based on product, based on, deal that you're going to do, daily, monthly, week, daily, everyday billing, monthly, quarterly, semi-annual, annually, and you get deposits one day after tomorrow.
Did you cover what your estimated costs are getting involved with you? You want to give them a general idea, or no?
Yeah. So the real quick and easy is, per month for $250 a month. That includes your main user, and then $25 for every user after that. We have a one-time sign-on of $1,000. That includes all of your training and ongoing support. Support is over the phone. Support is over chat. Support is over help desk. Support is in a knowledge base. So we're here to make sure that, you're as successful as possible. And then we just have some other, one-offs that we can do. And then we have a way, like if you need, hey, I just need you to create everything I have from over there, grab it and put it over here. We can do, we come up with a custom price to have our data people do that.
Do you have live operators when someone calls for customer service, or is it going somewhere else?
Live and in the US. Yep.
Okay. How well will the software manage non-recurring sales, such as non-hosted access control or video surveillance systems, which should have RMR attached to it, folks? But let's.
Yeah. You want at least a service plan there, right? So, so even if you make a sale of like an older access control system that doesn't have RMR, that's fine. We don't have an integration to it, but you should still be able to track how many doors, what doors they are, photos of the doors, mag locks, door strikes, readers, all that kind of stuff. Like you can track all of that in WorkHorse. So none of it is tied to. We're not built around RMR.
Steve, I should have you put a feature in where they're putting in what RMR they're not getting and translate it into equity in their business that they're not getting, so they can add that up at the end of the year too. Do you do job costing and tech time tracking?
So we track the technicians while they're on the job, meaning like from the time they go en route, on site, and complete for the job, and that could be multiple days. So we track that, but we don't do time and attendance. And we have a basic job costing, and that we're working on making that more robust. But like you'll know, I sold $10,000 in product. It cost me X dollars to buy. The payroll was this. I'm going to make X dollars on it.
All right, Captain Hayes, we're going into warp speed now. So because we're over time,
okay.
I want to get through every question. What payment processing vendor is used or available? You already answered that, I think.
USIO and Fortis.
You want to tell them who it is?
USIO and Fortis.
Does your platform bring in event history from MAS, paren CMS, and paren?
Yep, yeah, we're fully integrated with CMS in Florida. Yep, absolutely.
What is the level of integration with Mastermind and accounting platforms?
So we know let me say the integration is with the central station, so it's central station specific, and not every Mastermind central station. So CMS is a Mastermind central station, so we know you have 50 accounts and you have 50 RMR bills. You have 50 accounts online, you have 45 RMR bills. So you can go back and forth and you can see what you're billing for, what you're not, what's live and what you're not billing for, or what's canceled and what you're billing for still.
All right, and can you give us a general cost? You already answered that, I think. Can you limit what each employee sees on this software?
So we do it by their status. So admin, accounting, customer service rep, field service rep, salesperson, and then we've chosen and worked with our dealers over the years on what each one of those should be able to see.
So the answer is yes. Do you have time tracking capability for all company personnel, not just techs?
Not yet.
Was this webinar recorded? Yes, and it'll be on the K&K website within a day or so, along with every other webinar we do. Can you integrate with Field Hub?
Miles and I do not have an integration planned. I don't know that I'm against it. He's come up with a pretty good software, so I would talk to him about it, but I think that we probably compete on too many levels.
Not yet. Is there a timeline for late fees and credit card convenience fees? That's becoming an interesting issue lately. Can I charge a convenience fee on my monthly?
Yeah, December 1, both of those are out. So if you choose, I want to pay with a credit card, you'll decide. You'll say 3%. It'll add it to the.
I caution you to check your state and make sure you clear it through council. Because we're getting
in most places.
We're getting
In a
calls.
lot of places, credit card fees are illegal, where
well, I don't know
you
whether
can offer a cash discount.
Steve, I don't know whether you are going to use some kind of service that's going to do it automatically or not. But if not, you need to. They need to check whether or not they're allowed to do it or not. Can we see an app? I don't know what that means. We don't have time to see anything right now. But do you have an app?
No app. We're mobile friendly. Better on a tablet than a phone.
Okay. Can a tech review historic notes from previous work order?
Yeah, they can review the notes from the work orders, the install. They can review everything from that while they're assigned to it, and then they lose access to it 3 days later. So they have access to the job while they're assigned to it, and then for 3 days later, they can see all the history on it as well.
Can partial access be given to subcontractors to enter service call data?
Coming in Q1, it's there. You can just put in a cell phone number and a name, and it'll text message them the service call to do. There is a fee for it, but Q1.
Is there a universal way to increase fees by Ken's contract? The standard form agreements call for up to 9% per year annual increase, or do we need to increase customer fees one account at a time? In other words, can they increase their entire billing?
So we're starting on that feature in 2 weeks, and then we'll have it launched by the first of the year. You choose monitoring. I want to up it by $3 or 5% or whatever it is. It'll go across the board and up everything.
Well, it's got to go by percentage, right?
Some people want to do it by dollar amount, or some people want to cap it at a dollar amount. So we're kind of making it universal to work for anybody.
Well, it'll be able to do, okay. How does the service module handle more than one tech at a service call? Does all hours get put in one invoice?
So you can either do it by a truck, so you have 2 people riding together en route on site complete, or you can do 2 technicians. So, this guy was here for 4 hours, this guy was here for 1 hour, and it adds those guys up together.
Do you integrate with Astute?
Astute Financial, we do not have an integration with Astute.
How many users are included in the subscription? How much for additional? One user.
One is included at $250, and then they're $25 per user after that.
And of course, you can have as many customers as you want. Does it matter how big the alarm company is, how many customers they have?
No, we're going to grow with you by your users, not by your customers. So you don't get charged a nickel here, a dime here, like all that kind of stuff.
Okay, well, I just turned off the heat on your seat, Steve.
All right.
That was the last question. I want to thank everybody for coming into this webinar. I want to thank Steve, of course, for his great presentation, and all those who stuck through it. This was through a long webinar. This was a great presentation. I hope you learned a lot. You want to see it again? It's going to be on the K&K website, probably in a day or so, maybe by tomorrow, next day. All the webinars we do are recorded. So Steve had his contact information up there. Make sure you have any questions, contact him directly, and he will be happy to answer all your questions. The software webinars continue tomorrow, so hope to see you tomorrow. And then next week, I think we start with the Central Station webinars. So thanks everybody again. I'm going to close out of the webinar now. Steve, any last words? You got the last say.
Nope. Thanks everybody for joining. On the website, there's a link to my calendar. Set up a one-on-one, and we can learn more about each other, our companies, and see if we're the right fit.
Okay, everybody. Have a great day.
Thanks, Ken. Yep.